A cold breeze swept through the empty street as Officer Adeel finished his late-night patrol. The city had quieted down, but something tugged at his attention near the public park. A soft, rustling sound came from behind the trash bins, followed by the faint whimper of a baby. Adeel slowed down, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. When the beam landed on a small, shivering figure, he froze for a moment. It was a teenage girl, no older than 16 or 17, carefully, sorting through garbage bags. In her arms, a tiny baby wrapped in a worn towel cried softly. The sight made Adeel step closer immediately. The girl flinched and held the baby tighter, her eyes wide with fear. She looked ready to run, even though she was trembling from the cold. Adeel raised both hands gently to show he meant no harm. He spoke softly, telling her she wasn't in trouble, that he only wanted to help. Slowly, the girl relaxed, though tears were already gathering in her tired eyes. She introduced herself as Mariam, her voice barely more than a whisper. The baby in her arms was her little brother, Rafi. Adeel felt a squeeze in his chest as he noticed her painfully thin frame, the dark circles under her eyes, and the bruises on her arms that looked like they were months old. Adeel asked her why she was outside this late, and her answer shook him completely. She said she was collecting thrown-away food that people left in trash bags, because her brother had not eaten since morning. She explained that she had been living on the streets for weeks after losing both of her parents. When he asked why she hadn't gone to a shelter, she dropped her gaze and simply said, "They separate families there. They would take him away. He's all I have." Her voice cracked as she added, "If they take him, I won't survive." Adeel felt his throat tighten. For a moment, he had no words. He had witnessed suffering before, but something about Mariam's quiet strength and desperation hit him differently. He kneeled down so he could be on the same level as her, speaking slowly so she wouldn't panic. He asked if she would let him check the baby to make sure he was okay. Hesitant but exhausted, she nodded. Rafi's tiny face was pale, his breathing shallow. The towel around him was damp from the cold night air. Adeel knew the baby needed warmth and food immediately. Suddenly, Mariam broke into tears, apologizing repeatedly as if she believed she had done something wrong. Adeel shook his head firmly, telling her that nothing was her fault, that no child should ever have to survive like this. He guided them to his patrol car, turning on the heater to warm the baby. Mariam watched him with worried eyes, still expecting at any moment to be taken away from her brother. Adeel reassured her again and again that he wasn't there to separate them. Her shoulders finally relaxed when she realized he meant it. As the warmth filled the car, Rafi's crying softened. Adeel handed Mariam a bottle of water and a wrapped sandwich he kept for long shifts. She hesitated for only a second before taking a small bite, tears falling as she whispered thank you. While they sat there, Adeel called his station to tell them he would be late returning, without revealing details that might cause immediate intervention. He knew rules existed for a reason. He then asked Mariam about her life before the streets. Her story came slowly in fragments. Their father had died 2 years ago from an illness. Their mother worked endlessly to keep them fed, but passed away suddenly, leaving the siblings alone. Some relatives took everything from their house and threw them out, saying they were a burden. What hurt Adeel most was hearing Mariam say that she used to be a top student, dreaming of becoming a doctor until life pushed her into survival mode. Realizing how fragile her situation was, Adeel decided to take a step he rarely took. He drove them to a quiet community center run by a trusted friend, one of the few places where he knew families could stay together without the fear of separation. The caretaker, an elderly woman named Nazia, welcomed them with her warm, steady presence. She looked at Rafi, then at Mariam, and her face softened with understanding. She guided Mariam to a small room with a heater, blankets, and baby supplies. For a moment, Mariam just stood there, confused. She didn't understand why strangers were being kind to her. When Adeel told her she was safe now, she finally allowed herself to sit on the bed. She rested Rafi beside her and touched his tiny hand with trembling fingers. Then she looked up and asked quietly, "Are you sure they won't take him away?" Adeel sat on the edge of the bed and promised her with complete sincerity that as long as she stayed here, no one would break her family apart. Her lips quivered, And then she whispered the words that broke his heart completely. "Thank you." No one has ever protected us. Before, she had been strong for so. Release a flood within her. Long that finally saying those words seemed to... She cried softly, not from fear this time, but from relief. Over the next week, Adeel visited regularly. He brought baby formula, warm clothes, and even books for Mariam so she could study again. Each visit, he saw more life return to her eyes. She laughed sometimes, gently rocked her brother, and slowly started to believe she deserved safety. Adeel arranged for a social worker he trusted to help her get documents, food support, and schooling, without any threat of losing custody of Rafi. For the first time in a long time, she could imagine a future. Months passed. Mariam returned to school, balancing her studies with caring for her brother. The community center helped her, but more importantly, she had hope again. Adeel would often see her walking with Rafi toward the garden, the baby smiling and healthy now. She always greeted him with the same shy smile, but her eyes carried strength earned through hardship and courage. One day, she handed him a small paper that said, "Thank you for seeing us when no one else did." Adeel kept that note in his pocket for years to come. Because on that cold night, he had been the one who found a homeless girl collecting trash with a baby. But in truth, he felt like he was the one who had been changed by her resilience, her love, and her unbreakable hope. And he knew he would never forget the night her quiet words had shattered his heart and rebuilt something inside it.